please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
After nearly 2 years, the Reserve Bank has finally finished counting the 500 and 1,000 rupee notes that were sucked out in 2016. The result, well, almost all the notes are back in the system. Here are the numbers. 15.4 lakh crore rupees worth of notes were withdrawn, 15.3 lakh crores back with banks. Now, this is 99.3% of the total notes that were sucked out of circulation. Just weeks after demonetization, the then Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi told the Supreme Court the decision could wipe out between 3 to 4 lakh crore rupees worth of illicit cash. That has not happened. The exercise has cost the economy, with the RBI itself acknowledging the same, saying that there was loss of speed in the real GDP. The note ban exercise did have a significant impact on the GDP growth. India lost its status as the world's fastest growing economy. Soon after the decision, growth dropped from 8% in FY16 to 7.1% in FY17 and then to 6.7% in FY18. For this financial year, growth is expected to pick up to 7.4%. There have been some benefits if you look at the government's argument. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says demonetization has led to a lot of people in possession of undeclared cash, depositing the same in the banking system. The source of money was now questioned. Almost 18 lakh people were identified who had made deposits disproportionate to the income. The government also claims that this exercise has helped increase India's tax base. But here are two economists who believe that the growth in tax revenue and compliance cannot be attributed to demonetization alone. Listen in.
Much of the growth in income tax revenue has been due to GST. In fact, you see, you can also see the international experience in that. When Thailand introduced GST way back in 93, the revenue neutral rate was 10%. They levied the tax at 7%. Their income tax revenue increased by 25%. This is because I see that formalizes the economy, and most of the people, and so let us not attribute it to the wrong causes. So I think GST, I still think that GST revenue buoyancy will continue.
In personal income tax, of course, the returns have increased. But if we look at data from 2005-06, such part in return has happened without demonetization also. So demonetization might have helped, but we need to really separate out how much is due to demonetization, how much is the natural growth. If a person who is in informal sector wants to register under GST, has to have a PAN number. So the point is that also helps formalization. So attributing increase in return only to demonetization probably is not correct. I think we have to look at the other changes that has pushed formalization, and one of the major factors pushing formalization is GST. So we have to separate these out. And of course, there is a fear psychosis that might have helped in terms of increasing the number of returns. Compliance might have improved. But how much of it is only due to demonetization is very difficult to find.
Well, two economists there weighing in on the government's argument that demonetization has in fact been successful because it has enhanced direct tax collections by way of bringing more filers into the system. Joining us now, Chair Professor of the Reserve Bank, Jaimini Bhagwati, former Chief Economic Advisor, Arvind Virmani, Congress spokesperson, Gourav Vallabh, and BJP spokesperson, Syed Zafar. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Mr. Bhagwati, if I may start by asking you, sir, the government's argument is don't look at demonetization merely from the prism of the banknotes that have returned into the banking system. But the narrative and the goalposts have shifted over the last 2 years on what the objectives were of demonetization. If the objective was black money being removed from the system or black money being accounted for, if it was tax compliance, which as we've just heard, other factors can also be attributed to the formalization of the economy, which has led to better compliance when it comes to taxes. The political parties are calling this a mea culpa moment for the government, saying that the government must apologize for putting the country and the economy through this kind of hardship. How would you read what has happened with this story 2 years on? Mr. Bhagwati? Let me put that question then to Dr. Virmani. Dr. Virmani, the same question to you, sir. How would you read demonetization 2 years on? An exercise in futility or an exercise that continues to be a work in progress?
So let me start with your numbers first. They basically mean that 0.7% of the currency which was demonetized was in a sense didn't come back. Now, if we look at the last demonetization, the number was about 1.8%. So this is about 2/5 of the number in the earlier demonetization. So in that sense, I would definitely say it was disappointing. I can go into the reasons. You've been asking other people. I have a reason actually, but I'll come back to that if you are interested in it. Now, what about the rest of it? I think there were two.
Please go ahead, sir.
You know, the one is objectives. The planned objectives, etc. I don't want to get into, because as I wrote, within a week of demonetization, I would never have done it. I wouldn't expect a huge gain from demonetization. So that is not the issue I'm addressing. But I did say that there were 2 or 3, call it collateral benefits, which I was expecting. One was in terms of the discussion you just had in terms of income tax compliance and so on. You know, you can, both the economists who you just played out said that you should not attribute it all to demonetization. I don't think any economist can attribute it all to demonetization. The question obviously becomes, did it have a positive effect? I am clear that it had a positive effect. How much is due to that and how much is due to GST is an empirical question which will take at least 2-3 years. We don't know the effects of GST right now. So that's number 2. The third point I would make is that in terms of black money, there was a lot of discussion about real estate over the last 4 years. People were saying, why are you not doing, there's a huge stack of money in real estate, black money, and you're not doing anything about it. So I expected some effect of demonetization on the real estate sector. The only evidence we have is a fall in prices about 30% in Delhi and Bombay. Now, whether that effect of that will last, how long it will last, whether the conventional ratios of 60-40 have changed dramatically and will remain so, one doesn't have the data to judge that in a permanent way. But I think there was some effect for a year or two.
Let me ask a pointed question. Oh, some effect on real estate, but let me ask you a pointed question. So you said in your opening comment that you would not have done it. In hindsight, given what we have seen, whether it's currency back in the banking system, the impact on the economy, the cost of the exercise itself, do you believe it was a mistake?
I wrote a full blog on it within a week of the demonetization. And in that, I said that the immediate effect will be disastrous. When you withdraw so much money from the economy, there will be a disastrous immediate effect. That effect happened. I have also subsequently, a month or two later, maybe 6 months later, estimated the exact cost in terms of GDP. That was 1.2% of the next 2 quarters, which would roughly come to about 0.6% of GDP for the year as a whole. So those were the costs. The costs are very clear. The benefits are elusive. As we said, we can't even decide for, completely whether how much of it is due to black money, how much due to GST. That is correct. So there's no way to judge right now whether, how bad the net effect is.
Okay, so let me put that point then to Jaimini Bhagwati. Dr. Arvind Virmani, the former chief economic advisor, saying he would never have done it, that the costs are significant and the benefits are elusive. Your point of view, sir, ill-conceived idea?
Let me put it this way, that the costs were huge, but the benefits potentially were also huge. Let me repeat a few numbers from the finance minister's speech of 1st of February 2017. He said that there were 1.5 lakh deposits on average of 3.3 crores of cash. That's roughly something like 4.95 crore, 4.95 lakh crores of rupees. Another number he gave, which was 1.1 crore deposits of 5 lakhs each. So that's another 5 lakh crores. So that's roughly 10 lakh crores with just these two kind of depositors. Now compare that to a total number of 1.7 lakh people who declare incomes above 50 lakhs per annum. So for me, frankly, the most important element of this exercise was to try and expand the direct income tax base. Now, from 1st of February 2017 till now, I'm somewhat dismayed to see that, for one thing, I was surprised that the government did away with 500 rupee and 1,000 rupee notes, but introduced a 2,000 rupee note. Whether it is the United States, whether it is the Eurozone, they have in fact done away with the high currency notes because, as we all know, high currency notes facilitates transactions in cash. Now we keep hearing these anecdotal stories about how in real estate transactions in the large cities, a substantial amount is paid under the table in cash. Now you can't do that in 100 rupee notes. Now, so there was, for me, a dissonance between the stated objectives of the government and some of the actions it took. Now, you also, I think, you see, the audio was on and off, so I kind of kept hearing you sometimes and not at other times. I thought I heard you ask Dr. Virmani whether the net, was it a good thing or not? I think net ex ante is very difficult to say. Whether it is Dr. Manmohan Singh or Mr. Chidambaram in their capacities as finance ministers, or in the case of Dr. Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister, I didn't see them do much about widening the tax base. I didn't hear them talk much about real estate or other transactions which take place in cash. This government has talked about these things, but have they walked the talk? Essentially, I would expect them now to walk their talk, because I think the Department of Revenue has the numbers. I mean, I ask you, how much did you deposit? I deposited 30,000 rupees or so in cash in the bank when
I deposited less than that, sir. I deposited less than that.
Yeah, so who are these people who deposit on average 3.5 crores each? I mean, you know, and are these people within the tax net? It shouldn't be that difficult to find out, because when they deposited that money, they had to give in their PAN number. So what is going on? That statement by the finance minister was in February of 2017. We are at the end of August 2018. So you're saying that there is a dissonance. Yeah, there is a dissonance. So you're saying that there is a dissonance between the stated
objectives, words and action. And it's time for the government to walk the talk. Let me take that now across to Gourav Vallabh of the Congress, and then I'll get Zafar Islam to respond. Gourav Vallabh, you know, whether it's the TMC or it's the Congress party, your former finance minister, Mr. Chidambaram, speaking to me, said that this is a mea culpa moment for the government, and the government must apologize and accept culpability for putting the country and the economy to this kind of hardship. What are you going to do now from here on?
See, as we are again and again pointing out that this is the biggest misadventure one can have post-independence. And people are talking about the revenue benefits and revenue cost, or monetary benefits and monetary cost. But Shereen, what is the value of 150 people who lost their life in the lines, standing in the lines? Why when the GDP got reduced post-demonetization from 8.2 to current 6.7%, what is this? The GDP loss is around 2.25 lakh crore. So what is this not the loss? And there is a saying in Hindi, "Laut ke buddhu ghar ko aaye." Now the new notes, you know what is the current current value? 18,037 billion rupee, more than post demonetization. The same government which used to say cash to GDP, this to GDP is high, now they are more than the post demonetization zone. And why 50,000 SMEs shut down in Tamil Nadu itself after demonetization? 1 crore people had lost their jobs in the informal sector, and we are talking about benefits. There is no benefit. Even a semi-qualified economist can't say that there is any benefit in the demonetization.
Okay, that's the view of the Congress party. Syed, Zafar Islam, you have two economists stating very clearly here that they are not very clear about the benefits. The benefits are elusive. The government now needs to walk the talk. And as far as the opposition is concerned, this has been a flop show. This is a scam of laundering black money into white.
Well, Shereen, let me respond to your question as well as I will address in the process to two economists as well as the Congress spokesperson. First of all, the Honorable Prime Minister, in one stroke of pen, had achieved many objectives of the government, and you needed a political will, and which was demonstrated by the Honorable Prime Minister by taking this route of demonetization, because the deep-rooted corruption and black money, you couldn't have had any other solution but to resort to this particular solution.
Sir, but what is the black money? Can you please tell us? No, Zafar, 1 second.
Exactly. Let me just come back. Yeah,
there is
I'm coming back.
No, 1 minute, sir.
I'm coming back to you.
1 minute. Yeah, there is no accounting for the black money as of now. That is a work in progress, as and when the investigative agencies of the Income Tax Department were to arrive at that number, but we don't have that number today. So you cannot make a claim that it has helped achieve the objective of illicit money being ascertained. Yes.
Shereen, allow me to complete, please. I mean, one of Mr. Bhagwati gave you two statistics, and I think it is important for all of us to examine that statistic. One, the number of people deposited the large cash of money that was in the system, that was in circulation, but these people were not filing income tax returns. They were non-filers, but still they have deposited money, and their PAN number is there, and we know who are the people who are holding this cash. And how many such people are there? So numbers that numbers, as Mr. Bhagwati has already stated, there are 3.04 accounts, such accounts, which is being investigated, and actively 2.09 point accounts, which has actually being investigated currently by the Income Tax Department. Some people have voluntarily, on their own assessment, they have paid tax which they were paid in the past. But based on the investigation, I'm sure there are many such accounts will be there where the tax liability will be there and they will have to pay. Secondly, their second advantage, let me tell you, the number of shell companies, more than 3 lakh shell companies which were being operative, they were doing all illegal transactions. That has been struck off from the ROC, Register of Companies, because these were all doing illegal transactions. The informal economy, the people used to call parallel economy, that has not been, we have put an end to the parallel economy. Now that has slowly become part of the parallel economy.
So that is a claim,
part of the formal economy.
Zafar Islam, that is a claim that you make.
Shereen,
that is a claim that you make that the informal economy,
it is evident from the fact
parallel economy. But
you cannot see the advantage on one day, but that. One more thing I'll tell you. One more thing.
I'm looking at the numbers,
tax
sir.
collection.
Sure, go ahead.
Tax base.
Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I'm talking about the number. The tax collection, it has gone up by 18%. Even though you're talking about GDP, there is a dip in GDP because the consumption level had come off. And eventually it had, temporarily it will, because there was a disruption in the economy, temporarily it has impacted the GDP growth, but it is only because temporarily people shifted their consumption. But it didn't impact the tax revenue. The tax collection has gone up, and subsequently,
let me very quickly.
There are other structural reform which has been undertaken by the Honorable Prime Minister. In totality, everything is put together, has put economies in order, and also we have taken a concrete step against the black money and black market here.
Thank you for your comments. Got a very quick response, and then I want to go to the economist, please.
See, Shereen, whatever benefits he is telling, the same benefits we can achieve easily by using analytics. He is not aware of that. Can't we find out by using analytics that by spending pattern, by the withdrawal pattern from the banks, that who is doing what? Are we supposed to take 150 people's life for doing that thing? That is not justified at any level. And second thing, see, the biggest loss is to the SME sector, Shereen.
Yes.
Tamil Nadu data I am giving because that data was quoted in Tamil Nadu Assembly. That 50,000 SMEs were closed because of
Shereen, can I just come in, please?
If we take country as a whole, it's not less than 10 lakhs. And 1 crore people lost their jobs. And you are saying benefits. What kind of benefits?
Let me go back across to Jaimini Bhagwati as well as Arvind Virmani. No, Zafar, I'll come back to you, please. I need to go to my other guest. Mr. Bhagwati, let me come to you. You've heard the argument that the BJP spokesperson is presenting. That's the government's point of view on why they believe that demonetization has been a success. your point on the dissonance between what was articulated by the finance minister in February and what has happened at the end of August. What do you make of claims being made?
Well, all I can say is that when you look at the claims and when you look at the situation on the ground, the best way, and I want to make this appeal through the medium of your channel to the Honorable Finance Minister, that it is high time that he should present a white paper on this issue on the, in Parliament to outline what has been the cost and what are the benefits till now and what are the potential benefits to widen the tax space. Because it's very difficult to separate out from all the noise, you well understand what I'm referring to, from opposing political camps. Because when I look at this argument, which has been advanced today too, that there are ways of extracting information from the data in, which is available with RBI, with our income tax department, and without having to resort to demonetization, take steps which will, in a very concrete manner, expand the tax base. But look at the record of our past governments, and I don't want to get into political party A or political party B. You look at the experience of the last 30, 40 years, and you go around Mumbai or anywhere, you keep hearing about so many egregious examples of tax evasion. Now, having said that, so now if government has decided to take this big step and subject the people to considerable cost and the economy too, I would like to hear from the Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, in Parliament, outline to us what his tax department has done between 1st of February 2017 till now. I'm asking a very specific question, not a question of, he doesn't have to necessarily say, well, this has happened and then that has happened, because it's not mathematics. You can't make it as simple as 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. But I'd like to hear what are the steps which have been taken and what will be the further steps that this government will take to widen the tax base. Because, you know, this business of having a 2,000 rupee note, this business of having legislation which all political parties connived at to allow foreign contributions, to have this stuff about anonymous bonds for corporates to contribute towards the funding of political parties, somehow that is not consistent with this overall approach of widening the tax base and making our economy more transparent.
Okay, good points that you bring up, that a lot of the actions that have followed post-demonetization
Shereen, can I just come?
Okay, present a white paper in Parliament. Let me come to you. No, one second, sir. I'll come to Dr. Virmani and then I'll come to you. Dr. Virmani, Jaimini Bhagwati wants a white paper that the Finance Minister should present in Parliament to explain to the country the benefits that have accrued on account of this exercise, raising legitimate concerns about the actions that have followed. So one, we have seen some structural reforms which the government says are a part of the measures along with demonetization, but there have been others where more opaqueness has been brought in, electoral bonds, for instance, being a point in question. What is it that you would like to hear from the government, Dr. Virmani?
See, I think, you know, I normally deal with numbers and data. But I would like to say one thing. I think there was an effort, perhaps I don't agree with all the steps which have been taken, to change the atmosphere on corruption. What Jaimini is saying now is that there is not a consistent approach. But you know, I have seen this corruption grow over the last 50 years. In 2002, that is 15 years ago, I wrote a paper which was published in EPW. Okay, so this corruption problem is huge. You can't just solve it by 1 or 2 measures. You need political reform, you need bureaucratic reform, you need legal and judicial reform, and so on. So, I think there was for a time an effort to change the attitude of people to this whole issue of corruption and tax evasion. Jaimini is saying that perhaps it's not been very consistent. You know, he's probably followed it better. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right, Zafar Islam, I'll give you the final say. Walk the talk, sir. Walk the talk is the consensus here on the panel.
Well, Shereen, there are 2 things which I would like to address in 30 seconds what you are giving me. First, the intent of the government, and especially I'm talking about our government, India government, is never to inconvenience people of this country, because most people I'm talking about, the honest citizen who are paying taxes. Yes, they had to go through some problem, and we are apologetic, but this step had to be taken in the interest of the nation. Secondly, what I'm trying to tell you, that whatever the benefits which is very, very apparent, and people have definitely endorsed, because it is not a one-time effort. The fight against corruption, fight against black money is a continued process, and as Mr. Virmani and others are talking about, this is not one-time initiative, because the government is determined, the Honorable Prime Minister is determined that we will continue to fight against black money and against corruption, and the honest citizen definitely should be the beneficiary, which is our focus, which is also happening on the ground.
All right. Okay, Gourav, 10 seconds, please.
I agree with the economists on the panel, but I am asking that how much black money got collected? Earlier they used to say 3 lakh crore will come, now nothing. Then they used to say interest rate will come down, interest rates are increasing. Then they were saying plastic currency or cashless will go up, the cashless is back to normal. See, tell me a single advantage. You can't experiment with the economy. It is an economy of 134 crore people. You can't experiment with the poor people. You can't ask them to stand on the line and lose their lives on standing on the lines.
Well, this debate will continue, and as each of our panelists have pointed out, we still need to see empirical evidence on what this exercise has actually meant. The costs are clearly articulated in the slowdown as far as growth is concerned, the impact on small and medium enterprises, this being acknowledged by the Reserve Bank itself. But what are the benefits? As the former RBI Deputy Governor told me, perhaps we need the next 3 to 5 years to be able to figure that out. But for now and for this evening, Jaimini Bhagwati, Arvind Virmani, Gourav Vallabh and Syed Zafar appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18.